Hello, this is I Do Damage, and welcome back to the channel. In this last Epoch video, I want to talk about a new skill added in patch 0.7.7. This is for the Acolyte, and specifically the Lich Mastery. In order to obtain this skill, you'll have to have 20 points spent in the Acolyte base class, unlock your masteries, and then come into Lich and spend 5 more points, and you'll unlock Drain Life. This skill does exactly what you would think. Right off the bat, it does necrotic damage and leeches life from enemies, just like the name of the skill states, right? But the skill tree is what I really want to talk about, and it gets pretty interesting. When you first get the skill, it's a channeled ability that you can just kind of move around with your cursor, hitting enemy. And pretty much it. And you're going to run out of mana, things like that, just like a normal skill. But within the skill tree, there's a couple things that I really enjoy. So when I first got the skill, I went and I saw this node that you can cast while moving. Basically what this does is it makes Drain Life stationary. So that when you cast it, it just stays there and continues to drain life. And then with that, if you have enough mana and mana regen, you can also put multiple stacks and leech even more enemies. It's pretty strong, but it does cost a lot of mana. You can also come down here to make the Dark Shackle last longer, which is the name of that node that makes it stationary. And then also, this is the big boy node that really drew my attention to this node, was the fact that you could target 10 additional targets. I just thought that would be huge for massive groups, and it is. It's really quite a fun ability. However, recently I've decided to kind of shift away from that and kind of go over to this node here, which now gives you 10 mana per second per minion that you're leeching life from. So with that in mind, you will need to have minions to actually leech from, otherwise this node won't work. So, and me loving pet builds, this really worked out well. So pretty much there's some gameplay going on here for you. This is what it looks like. Quite fun, as you can tell. I've tried it with the stationary node route, and it's hella strong, especially if you get at least 10 or more minions. You never run out of mana, and it does a ton of damage. But kind of the downside of it is it does kill your pets a lot, so you'll need to make sure that you're focused on getting your pets back to life. And that kind of makes it really kind of difficult for a hardcore build. So I like to do just the channeled version where it can only target 3. A little bit easier to kind of manage. So those are the two highlighted nodes for me personally. Some other options on the skill tree are obviously more increased damage on the skill. You will definitely want that. And then this is another interesting node that I did try out, and my honest feedback is I was underwhelmed by the skill. Basically, whenever a target is killed by Drain Life, they deal necrotic damage in an area to nearby enemies. So I took that, and then I also went up here to increase the damage in the area, and it just never really felt super useful. So therefore I didn't pursue it. The other node that then ties into this is the Chill. I don't really go after Chill in my builds, but hey, it's an option there if you want to. And also, after Grim Harvest, you can pick up the Necrotic Feast node, which also increases life leech, but you can only target your minions. So maybe you just like killing your minions so you can heal yourself. I don't know. Whatever you're into, man. Might be your right for you. So that's kind of your left side of the tree. If you come down here into the bottom left for Lay Waste, this one ramps up the damage by 100% of the skill, but it no longer is Drain Life. I've also tried out this node, and again, I was not super impressed. It just, playing with Reaper Form and having that life leech is just so useful, and the increased damage I didn't notice to be that great. I'm sure, hey, it probably isn't for some builds. Another thing you could do, and I thought about doing this, was with the Soul Bond, you have a chance to summon a Soul Wisp, which then would count as a minion that you could then leech life from to gain back mana. So you could do that, but like I said, I was not super impressed with these two nodes. Other options is turn the skill into Poison. Poison is super OP. This is a super useful node for that if you want to put out some serious damage. And another option, I mean, this skill's super versatile, as you can see. Another option, maybe you're trying to do a low life Lich type of build. You could definitely do this and gain a little bit more control over that build by draining your life instead of mana. And finally, you can also get Ward when you kill an enemy. I personally don't think that that's enough ward to kind of sacrifice all of this, but hey, again, maybe you're going for that low life Lich type of build, and I think that that would be probably a good choice for you. So another highlight of the tree, I know I pointed out the stationary node and then kind of the mana leech node. Another one that I really am pursuing right now, as you can see in this video, is this condemnation node. Basically what it does is drain life applies a stack of damned each second. Damned is a spell and it deals necrotic damage over time, as you can see. And there's a couple different things to this that we'll get into. But it's a stacking ailment and it lasts for 3 seconds and it deals 25 base necrotic damage and reduces the target's health regen per stack. You can also then increase the damned buff to either make it do more damage and or make it last longer. These are both viable options, and this damnation stack actually does quite a bit of damage. Just got done streaming, kind of showing off the build, and I was just melting dudes that were like 3 levels higher than me, so super good. And actually this node makes you deal more damage per stack instead of the stack itself dealing damage. So there's that to keep in mind. And then also, maybe you're doing a Wandering Spirits type build that maybe correlates with that poison build, and you want to have some of your Wandering Spirits last longer. So pretty much you would pop your Wandering Spirits, and then with this node, they don't disappear as long as you're channeling Drain Life, which then I would be wanting to be getting mana back so you can sustain and maybe keep those Wandering Spirits out longer. I personally am not a huge fan of Wandering Spirits, but there is that option as well. Last but not least, in this little section of the skill tree, I don't have much experience with, but we'll just kind of talk about it real quick because it's here. So Horrify does exactly what you'd think. It slows down enemies and also fears them if you want to have a little bit more control over mobs, as well as having an additional target but costing more to cast if you come over here to Shadowy Tendril. And this node right here, I've considered taking this just for the survival aspect for my hardcore challenge character. But I don't know, man. I really liked the damage output from the stationary and kind of sacrifice my pets to get mana to sustain it. I really like that playstyle more. But hey, if you wanted to play safe, you could come down here for Contempt. Basically what this is going to do is give you a buff that if you've channeled for 3 seconds on an enemy or more, you'll then get this Contempt buff that increases armor and protection. As soon as you stop channeling, all these stacks are lost. Unless, if you get this node, to make them last 2 seconds longer per node. So if you go a full 3 points in that node, you could get the buff then to last for 6 seconds. And just basically every 3 seconds you'd have to kind of channel to kind of maintain that buff. To me, that sounds like a little bit too much micromanaging, and I don't know, maybe it's worth it. Me, probably not. Also, so you have your armor and protections. You can also come over here and get stuns for the enemy. I have not been huge into stuns on Last Epoch. I do plan to kind of experiment with it more, but as it is right now, it's just not appealing to me. But these options are here as well if you want to invest points into that. But you got to keep in mind, at the end of the day, you only have 20 points to spend in the skill tree. So you're going to want to get as much damage, I think, out of this skill as possible, and as much sustain. So I think definitely going the mana regen route, stacks route, are definitely really solid options there. And if you want that even more damage, you can come down here into the bottom left part of the tree and get even more damage. Overall, I gotta say, Drain Life is definitely a great tool to see added to the game for the Acolyte and the Lich Masteries toolkit. I've really enjoyed messing around with the skill and kind of seeing its quirky little things you can do with it. And working with the minions was really fun as well. I can't wait to see even more skills added to the game and more skill trees implemented to current skills as well. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and hopefully you got something out of it. Let me know down in the comments what nodes you're using and how you plan to use this skill and how it's going for you. I'm curious to find out. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to like and subscribe and share the video with everyone you know. As always, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.